Hey, and welcome to this Impeachment Tuesday edition of Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm John Tobacco. I usually say it's a terrific Tuesday, but I can't say it's terrific today when what is happening down in Washington really, truly makes me sick. It makes me really agitated to think that our government has to grind to a halt today for 12 hours a day of impeachment hearings that we know are going nowhere. It's really not a terrific Tuesday for our country when we watch all of our legislature in a deadlock where we can't get the work of the people of America done because the Democrats are so focused on removing a president who was elected to be our president, and they haven't given him a day to breathe. It is a terrific Tuesday for the markets. Yesterday, the markets were closed. This morning, as we speak, the Dow is down about 18 points. I expect a little rebound there. Oil prices down significantly. The one thing that's hitting the markets today is China. There are some fears out there about this virus in China, whether it will become an epidemic, whether it will spread. There's some uncertainty there about what's happening. I think our markets are in great shape. As I told you last week, a close on Friday above 29,000 would put us in perfect position to bring 30,000 and higher into focus. I think that is happening on the crypto front. There's been a flight to safety lately for foreign investors, mostly in Asia. People trying to get money and the loose money policies now in China. Some money is trying to get out of China. I had suggested to you over and over again that some of that money will try to get out of there using Bitcoin. It is the preferred cross-border payment system. Bitcoin at 8,700. Really good shape there. 8,500 has been the number that I thought we should start a new support at. And the market seems to be holding well here. We'll keep you posted on the Bitcoin. We'll keep you posted on the markets and how they're reacting. In hour 2 today, we're going to be covering the live impeachment hearings starting at 1. It'll go on for 12 hours a day, including Saturdays. So we'll bring you all that and more. And hopefully we get this thing over quickly. Everyone knows the Republicans have a majority, so it's very doubtful that they will move the president out of office. But I guess the charade continues. And it could be bleak for a couple of weeks here, but I think the horizon is really bright. Really bright it is when I'm joined, as usual, by my managing editor, executive producer, Frank Morano. He's over in the Frank Zone. Hey, Frankie, good morning.
Hello, John. Great to be here in the Frank Zone, whether it's morning or afternoon.
What's happening, buddy?
Well, a lot of very interesting stories. We're going to be delving into them throughout the next 2 hours. The Supreme Court is not going to take up another Obamacare case. Democrats had sought an expedited review of a lawsuit that challenged the law, but the Supreme Court said, no, we're not going to hear it again. And just breaking within the last couple of minutes, actor Michael Douglas has made an endorsement in the presidential race. Any guesses as to whom he endorsed?
Did he endorse Elizabeth Warren and Amy Klobuchar, like the New York Times? Did he do a duo? Did he do a double take?
He didn't. He, unlike the paper of record, managed to pick just one.
Bernie Sanders.
Incorrect.
Elizabeth Warren.
Incorrect.
Joe Biden.
Incorrect.
Wow. Tulsi Gabbard.
Incorrect.
Hit me with it. I mean, there's so many of them, I can't keep track.
Mike Douglas has endorsed Michael Bloomberg. That's right. And in the press release that the Bloomberg campaign has just sent out, they noted, quote, Douglas played Democratic President Andrew Shepard in the 1990 film The American President. Off the screen, he is also a Democrat. It actually says that in the press release. We got endorsed by a guy that played a Democratic president.
Yay! Now there's some bona fides, folks.
Who's next?
Mike
Harrison
Douglas
Ford?
Endorses Mini Mike.
Bill Pullman?
So
Morgan Freeman?
Mike Bloomberg continues to stand on his checkbook and his wallet. He's launched this multi-million-dollar campaign, flooding the airways in 26 different states with commercials. I don't think it's going to have much of an effect, but I guess it brought Michael Douglas on board. Frankie, but the impeachment thing, it's really getting to me that we have to spend all this time and money and effort to go after a president who was elected by the people. It reminds me of the Brexit thing. You know, it's like the people have spoken. Why don't they just let the guy do what he was elected for, be our president?
Well, it's going to be very interesting. Of course, New York senior senator, the Senate Minority Leader, Chuck Schumer, not at all happy with the parameters of the impeachment rules that Mitch McConnell has laid out. He has said that he is vowing to force a vote to fix the McConnell rules. So we'll see where it goes.
You can force a vote. The Republicans have a majority, which I think Mitch McConnell's a pretty savvy guy. And he's been doing this for a while, and Mitch McConnell doesn't want to have egg on his face. So I highly doubt he would bring a vote to the floor unless he knew for sure he had 51 votes. And frankly,
and now, just in the last couple of minutes as well, the Democrats have demanded that Donald Trump get rid of his lawyer, Pat Cipollone, which is not going over well with either their Republican counterparts or the Trump defense team.
Yeah, it's funny how they want to make demands. But they have no control. And when they had control in the House, they set up this whole arcane set of rules. They interviewed witnesses in the skiff downstairs. They didn't allow the Republicans to call certain witnesses. They didn't allow the Republicans to question certain witnesses on certain things. So they had their day in the sun in the House. Now it's at the Senate, and they're not in control anymore. So sit there and shut up and take your place where it belongs. Sit down. The Republicans are in control, just like when you were in control in the House. And from what I'm hearing, Frankie, this thing is going to run 12 hours a day. I'm going to be up until the wee hours of the night watching it just so that we can report on it every day. But it's going to get tedious, and it may actually dig into my sleep time.
Well, it's very interesting, John, because that is precisely what I am speaking, frankly, about. Survey showing some very disturbing results when it comes to the sleep that our country is getting. Apparently, the vast majority of Americans are now averaging less than 6 hours of sleep per night. And you might think, okay, people have always been busy. People have always had a tough time getting sleep. Is this really new? Answer is yes. Now, the reason this is significant is back in 2018, we were getting, on average, 47 minutes more sleep per night than we are now. So we went from getting 6 hours and 17 minutes of sleep per night just a year ago to last year getting only 5.5 hours of sleep. And if this trend continues, 2020 looks to be even worse. And I'll tell you, all the segments that I'm not in on this show, you know what I'm doing? I'm sleeping during every single one. I'm not joking. It's not a joke. I am asleep, and I will be asleep during this impeachment trial today. I'm going to sleep on the bus ride home. And this is a major public health crisis.
It sure is.
We've talked about a lot of health crises on this show: opioid addiction, suicide, hospital infections. This is one that has not gotten nearly enough attention, because obviously you know that when you sleep you feel better. What you may not know is that sleep reduces stress. It helps inflammation. It makes you more alert. It's even been shown to prevent cancer. It can even help you lose weight. I think the lack of sleep that I'm getting on a daily basis is part of the reason I'm a little heavier than I'd like to be. It can even reduce your risk of depression. So please try and take a cue from me and try and squeeze in a little more sleep whenever you can. Because if we keep going in this direction as a country, we're going to be a lot more than just awake. We're going to be incredibly unhealthy.
We're going to be woke. You know what I wanted to add in on that? There's an article I recently read that was talking about your phone being an issue with sleep. Now, when you sleep, to get really good, solid sleep, you got to get to REM, rapid eye movement sleep. And many people, like I do, and I try not to, but they sleep with their phone on the side of the bed, okay? And it's widely reported, it's scientifically proven, that if you wake up in the middle of the night, let's say you wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning, you got to use the restroom or whatever you have to do. If you look at your phone, the light that comes out of the phone tricks your brain into thinking it's sunrise. And when you go back to sleep, you cannot re-achieve REM because the phone has told your brain it's morning. So although you may pass out for another 2 or 3 hours, you can't get yourself back to REM. So try, as a tip, you can look it up, you can educate yourself on this, but I try to teach people a little something every day. Try not looking at your phone at night, Because even if you're only getting 5 hours and 47 minutes, if that's REM, you're getting some good sleep. So let's just try it. I've been trying it. Turn your phone over. Whoever's emailing you or texting you in the middle of the night, it's not worth as much as your health, your sanity, and there are, like Frank said, a lot of residual issues that happen when you don't get enough sleep. You're not productive. You may get depression. You may get overweight. So one thing you can do, you can educate yourself on this. Try not looking at your phone when you wake up in the middle of the night. Frank, before we get out of this segment, I always talk about these left-wing media shows and how the left-wing media is infested with propaganda and public relations for the Democrat Party. Not widely reported, okay? There was a Gallup poll yesterday. Gallup, everyone knows Gallup, very widely known polling organization. Gallup came out yesterday. I think we have a headline on this. Gallup came out and talked about Trump's approval ratings, okay? And they said that according to the poll, which was taken between January 2nd and January 15th, 46% of Americans want Trump to be convicted and removed from office. But what's not widely reported is 51% of Americans do not want the Senate to convict him and remove him from office. That's 51%. There's a margin of error in there, about 3.5%. And if you know anything about Gallup, it's widely known to be a liberal-leaning polling agency. So if Gallup is telling you that the majority of Americans at 51% does not want the Trump removed from office, my hunch is that it's significantly more than that. So once again, Trump's our president. We know right now from Gallup, who's a widely respected polling company, that 51%, at least a plurality of Americans, do not want the Senate to convict him and remove him from office. So keep your eye on that. Call your senator, call your congressman, do something, because the silent majority are the people who are paying the price for this right now, and we are paying heavily. Frankie.
Yeah, I honestly think that this poll means very little. Just as the CNN poll that shows 51% saying that the Senate should remove him from office. My attitude is either something is impeachable or it's not, right? It shouldn't matter whether 90% of the country wants him removed from office. And is this the constitutional role of impeachment? I don't think that it is. What I think you see in both these polls, the CNN poll and the Gallup poll, is basically the people that didn't vote for Donald Trump, which is about half the country, they want him removed from office. It has very little to do with the evidence, very little to do with Ukraine or obstruction of Congress or abuse of power. The people that didn't vote for Trump, they're the ones that want him removed from office. And by the other hand, the people that voted for Trump don't think he should be removed from office. I think these polling models are flawed. I think they're meaningless. I think they're anachronistic. I think the amount of time, and I'm not blaming you for this because so many in the media do it, but the amount of time that the media spends discussing polling instead of real issues, it's a real disservice to the American public.
Well, we're in agreement on one thing, that most people that I know who are sane do not think there was an impeachable event here. We'll keep you posted on all that through hour 2 today. Hirsch Singh joins us a little later on today. Andrew McKenna is going to be here. Michael Gordon's going to be here to talk to us about the New York Times endorsing 2 candidates. Kevin McCullough comes in hour 2 with Derek Scott to mix it up. And John LaRocchia from the Laughter Saves Lives Foundation is going to be here to add a little levity to what's happening. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back right after this with a Tuesday edition of Liquid Lunch with Mike.